but you probably won't see me in a Colorado sweatshirt anymore.
If they beat USC this upcoming weekend, I might get those shades Dion wear.
If they would have won last week against Oregon, the Dion cowboy hat, chains and stuff like that.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 4 of the Don't Ask Me Why podcast with Reggie and Roger. I'm Reggie. He's Roger.
Yeah, thanks, Reg. I'm feeling good today.
Me too.
Healthy, happy, wise. I don't know about that, but healthy and happy and in shape. All that stuff.
There you go.
Ready to roll.
Health is wealth. And speaking of wealth, we're trying to increase your wealth on this show. So keep that in mind, folks.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so.
Me too. Fingers crossed. Go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on IG at the Don't Ask Me Why podcast. So the Don't Ask Me Why podcast. We'll have that on the screen for you all to jump on that and subscribe. And speaking of YouTube, can somebody I know you all are watching and are giving us feedback outside of the YouTube platform, but can we get a comment? One comment? What's up?
I get comments all the time.
Oh, okay.
From people that are listening, but they don't, for whatever reason, put them on YouTube. And I think that we're getting comments on other mediums. Hence the questions that we have tonight and some other places. But the feedback that I get from a lot of people, some of whom I don't know, that I run into, they're like, "Oh, love the podcast, love the content and all that."
Well,
and
say something in. Comment, damn it.
Yeah, right. Damn it.
Yeah.
DAMW.
DAMW.
Yeah.
And I know folks consume podcasts differently, so we're available on all major podcast platforms, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Google Podcasts will be YouTube Music starting 2024. Just something that I saw pop up. But nonetheless, any of your podcast platforms that you use, please look for Don't Ask Me Why podcast. We're in there. We're not hard to find. And finally, follow us on Twitter at Don't Ask Me Why Pod. So all that information will be listed. Go ahead, Roger.
One thing I wanted to add was I'm excited about the Instagram platform because we will be posting a lot of reels, a lot of 10 to 20 second segments, clips here and there from all the podcasts, and we'll have a ton of them as the weeks go by. And boy, I tell you, that's a favorite thing for me. I love watching the reels. So
absolutely.
So we'll be doing a lot of that, and I think that will help us expand our base of people watching and listening. So
absolutely. That's what we do. We keep it real. And speaking of keeping it real, let's reveal our picks from last week. Roger, I mean, I was on a roll, and that Denver pick, it kicked me in the tail. So I went 2 out of 3. I was good money on the Lions pick. I was golden on the under for the Patriots and Jets. I knew that was going to be just a anti-shootout. So 2 out of 3 isn't bad. How about you?
I was 2 out of 3 as well. And I've been on a roll. I've hit 10 out of my last 12 picks that I do on the parlays. And as I told everybody on the show last week, to me the easiest pick of the week was Kansas City minus 12.5 over the Bears. I thought that was a stone cold lock, which it was. And then I also liked Seattle. To cover their spread against Carolina, which again, I thought was a no-brainer. I couldn't even believe that the spread was that low.
Yeah.
And then I lost my 3-teamer, and I lost being perfect with my picks on DAMW because I had Tampa on Monday night against Philadelphia, which they lost 25-11. I had Tampa Well, I had Tampa -5 actually on the, when we did the show last week, it was 6.5. And it went down to 5, and I felt even better about it because I was like, if the number's going down, that means a lot more people are playing money on Tampa.
Yep.
But it just didn't go that way. And but we both went 2 for 3. And that's 66%, Reg.
Oh.
You take if we continue that pace going forward, and the rest of the year, I can promise you that there would be a ton of big time gamblers in Vegas on NFL football that would be ecstatic to have a 66% win percentage against the spread.
Absolutely.
And so we want to even make it better. I'm looking to go beyond that 70% and above as we go forward. So,
yeah. Well, I know one of the themes of this past weekend of football and NFL were blowouts. Denver, the Bears. That's kind of close to my heart.
Yeah, I know.
And Washington, that was kind of a letdown. But Denver, that pretty much kind of just stole the spotlight. I think the coach, Sean Payton, he has a lot of egg on his face from the comments he made earlier this year regarding Hackett and his lack of coaching ability and his team for Denver. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on just some of the massive blowouts that went about this past football Sunday?
In a way, it was sort of expected, I think, with the Bears and with Denver. And it should have been really, if I was more realistic, it should have been with Buffalo to really handily defeat the Commanders because the fact that I live here in the DMV in Northern Virginia, you get bombarded with home team media, always portraying the week of a game. I think that if we can do this and if we can do that, it's almost like they're negating or neglecting who they're playing. And it's like Buffalo, they're going to be good. They're going to continue to be good. And in fact, I think the marquee matchup coming up this week is them with Miami coming into town. That should be a great game.
Absolutely. One of the things I try to do, and to your point, ever since we've started this podcast, is I try to tune out outside media sources. And you can't help it, really. I'm on social media. You got to watch the games and you watch a little commentary. I just want to be as unique as possible, give my own genuine takes. So you're right. If you sit and hear too much of local sports talk, like here in Atlanta, they're going to make the Falcons sound like world beaters if you listen to them long enough. So and I have a pick that's counter to the Falcons later on. But nonetheless, as far as just the contenders that we thought were contenders who are bordering being out of the picture early in the season, we got Denver. Me personally, I talk about egg on my face. Me and Sean Payton. I said that Denver is potentially a AFC West division winner coming into the season. I wish I could go back in time and take that stuff back. But nonetheless, Cincy, I think the Chargers, Giants, Vikes are in trouble, and the Jaguars. What say you?
Here we sort of get into a little bit of disagreement in terms of the way we're looking at those teams that you just brought up. I think that Cincinnati is going to overcome the early season troubles. I think that Burrow is going to get healthier as the weeks go by. He found a way to play at about 70% of his capacity last week. They got through it. They won the game. And I think that they'll get better. I fully expect to see them in the playoffs. I don't know if they'll win the division, but then again, so far, that division doesn't look like there are any real world beaters in there anyway. I mean, Cleveland, is looking pretty good, but every year they tend to do what they do, which is kind of to fall back. So now as to some of the teams that you put into that category, I'll look for the Jaguars to get better. I would be shocked with their coach and with Trevor Lawrence and with the weapons that he has that they won't kick it back into gear and find a way to make the playoffs. Giants, Vikings, gone, done. Forget about it. They're out of it. I'd be stunned if they turn things around. Denver, done. No chance there. In my mind, no chance there.
I'm looking at these teams, the 6 that we identified: Denver, Cincy, Jags, Chargers, Giants, Vikes. I wouldn't be shocked if none of them made it. In my opinion, I think there are other teams in the league that are making strides and becoming better teams, where I think some of these teams may have dug themselves somewhat of a hole early in the season, where it may hurt them in the latter part of the year. But in terms of just digging holes and not meeting expectations, you got these quarterbacks who are I'm not going to say they're walking into their locker rooms with a ski mask on and a pistol or anything, and they're sticking up their team. But Cousins, I really don't want to include Lamar, but we're not seeing that high flying offense that was ballied about earlier in the off season. Burrow, as we mentioned, Russell, and then Daniel Jones. All of these quarterbacks have in common very big numbers in terms of salary, and they're not necessarily living up to it right now. I mean, do you see that kind of changing?
Yeah, I do. And, money, unfortunately, does change people. You hear about it all the time in every pro sport. It's like when someone signs a contract in any sport that is what they call generational, right? That you can support multiple generations with extreme wealth. And it doesn't matter really what you do performance-wise beyond that. If it doesn't come down to your own personal pride when you already have that kind of money, then I have kind of a dim view of. Now, granted, I've never had a huge contract like that, so maybe my opinion would change. But I got to think that, all in all, I got to think that pro athletes have a lot of pride. They would have to get to where they have gotten, and it would be I got to think that they all want to win, and they all want to get to that pedestal, and they all want to be champions in their sport. There's one team that we kind of glossed over there, and that was the Chargers. So again, that's a team that I feel like still has a chance to get there because of Justin Herbert, because the fact it's a quarterback-driven league, and so I think between the Chargers, Cincinnati Jaguars, I believe that two out of the three of those will get to the playoffs. Might not win their divisions, but they'll get to the playoffs. That'll be my bet.
Okay. Some of the surprise teams, they may not be above 500. I love what I'm seeing out of that last performance with Houston and Arizona. I think we had talked about that a little earlier, as far as just, the grit that they're showing.
Yeah.
People have written them off. People are looking at them as, they're tanking for Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
They're tanking for Michael Penix. They're tanking for whomever, Shedeur Sanders.
Right.
They're tanking. And so to see the fight that they've had these first few weeks, is very admirable. And I really think that they didn't get the memo as far as we're supposed to be laying down for these other teams. What do you think?
Let me tell you something. It goes back. I was just talking about pride of the professional athlete. Now, with a lower payroll like Arizona has compared to the elite teams, these guys are all, to your point, they didn't get the memo. They have pride in what they do, and what they realize is that if they're not making a ton of money now, there's only one way to do it, and that's to put together great performances and great tape. They always talk about tape, that even if your team is, 2-12, there are going to be people considering, you as an individual maybe to bring on to a higher echelon team if you have, good statistics and you perform well. So all the praise in the world for Arizona and what they've done. Listen, they're 1-2. Give me a break. They could be 3-0 right now. They had Washington cornered. Who did they lose to week 2, Reg?
The Giants, and they had a big lead.
Yeah, and they had a big lead. They were up a lot. So I mean, at the least they should be 2-1. And and I'll also give props to their fans in Arizona. Right, the last week against Dallas was their first home game, and it didn't sound a lot to me like it did in Tampa on Monday night when it seemed like Philadelphia had overtaken Tampa Stadium, which was shocking.
And then the Sunday night game that I had to do a double take because I thought that was in Pittsburgh. Speaking of teams, fan bases traveling, but speaking of Arizona, we got some great matchups coming up this upcoming week, and all of them are kind of divisional centered. And so Arizona going to San Fran, going up there to Santa Clara. Like you said, to your earlier point, they have pride. This will definitely be a litmus test for not only Arizona, but for San Fran as well. So I think this will be, and I believe the line is 14 points.
It's 14, yeah.
I'm going to leave it alone.
I'm leaving it alone too.
Yeah. But I love that game. Don't be shocked if they cover, if Arizona covers, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were to pull off a huge upset.
I wouldn't be shocked either. And to your point, I am tempted to pull the trigger as one of my 3 picks to take Arizona plus 14. If it got to like 15 or 16, it won't be one of my picks tonight of my 3 picks. But if we get to Sunday and that line goes up, a little bit more, 15, 16, then I think I might have to include them in one of my parlays. As I've told our viewers and listeners previously, my bet every Sunday is 2 3-team parlays. And that's how I roll. I was 6 out of 6. I had 2 parlays, 2 3-team parlays week before last, and just missed out on another 3-teamer with Tampa not being able to cover against Philadelphia. But to your point, Reg, my goodness, tasty is the right word for the matchups, some of the matchups this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Detroit and Green Bay. I think that's a very good matchup, another divisional tasty matchup right there. Both really are trying to separate themselves on who is the top dog in the NFC North. I think potentially the Miami and Buffalo game might be game of the week.
Must watch.
Must watch. Yeah. I'm hoping I'm getting it locally, or if not, I'll break out the Fire Stick. But that's definitely a game where we're going to see who's who between Allen and Tua. So I love that matchup, and I think Baltimore and Cleveland is intriguing as well. In Cleveland, put Baltimore on the 2-game losing streak. They've already beaten Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So this is a big game for Cleveland, perhaps, and see what that defense can do against Lamar.
You could very well in the AFC Central, you could very well at the end of this weekend have 3 teams at the top of the division at 2-2.
Yeah.
You'd have Pittsburgh 2-2, Cincinnati 2-2, and Cleveland. Cleveland would be 2-2 if they lost to Baltimore, right?
They would be.
Everybody would be 2-2.
So I don't know if that's a good thing about the division, about the AFC North, or if that's a bad thing. Are they strong or weak?
It resets the division, right? Starting from scratch. Right. So I wouldn't be shocked that, if I were betting that, I was going to say, if I were betting that, give me a break. But if I were betting Baltimore, Cleveland, I would take Baltimore. Baltimore because I just think that they understand, and they got a great coach. I think they understand that it's really getting to must-win territory. I mean, to lay an egg like they did against Indianapolis in Baltimore,
Yeah,
that's bad.
that right there. And I was watching a good portion of that game. It really was never in hand, and we can always blame weather conditions. Both, had to deal with weather conditions, and quite frankly, if Anthony Richardson is playing, they probably lose that game.
Right.
But Minshew, he's a steady QB. He's experienced, so I think that really helped them having a backup.
They were
And,
smart to pick him up. It wasn't expensive, and has a lot of starting experience and background. I thought it was a great pickup, and he played pretty well. And just to go back real quick to Arizona at San Francisco, to me, that's must watch TV. I mean,
absolutely.
I'm going to be rooting for Arizona big time. And I hope at the very least they make a game of it and have a chance going out. But San Francisco is awfully good.
Yeah,
They're
yeah. So
good.
that could be something where I don't think they'll put up a 50+ spot on Arizona, but it could get out of hand pretty fast, similar to the way Denver and Miami transpired last week.
Yeah.
But you're right. But that is a hell of a game that I'm looking forward to as well. Hey, we got some good feedback as far as the fan mail.
Mm-hmm.
We're still getting entries from folks from all over the country.
Yeah.
Good gracious. So I got some fan mail here. So it says, hey guys, this is Felix from Fort Collins. I guess that's in Colorado.
Yeah.
Great show. Really digging your takes and stuff. Roger, I noticed that you didn't sport the Colorado sweater last episode.
Right.
Just so happens the Buffaloes got buffaloed, and subsequently the Broncos went on to get trounced by 50 points the next day.
Right.
Are you an undercover Ducks and Dolphins fan? What's up with that?
So Felix, no, I'm not undercover. I'm not that smart, number one. And I'm not a Colorado fan. I was a bandwagon jumper the first 2 weeks.
When you leapt off.
Yeah, and I left that jumped off. But let me tell you something though, man. I think that after 2 weeks of wearing the Colorado sweatshirt, I was like, something. It's time for me to be a little bit more of a fashionista, and what, and sort of, display more of my range when it comes to
your wardrobe.
Absolutely. My wardrobe. Yeah. And so that's all that was about, but you probably won't see me in a Colorado sweatshirt anymore this year.
Hey, if they beat USC this upcoming weekend,
but if they do,
I might have to go find me a Colorado. I might get those shades Dion is wearing. So.
Yeah, because if they would have won last week against Oregon, my next move was the Dion cowboy hat. and maybe some chains, chains and stuff like that.
Rods with the gold ropes, the chains. Man, you be swagged out, man.
I was thinking about it, but alas, it's not going to happen now.
Thank you, Oregon. Thank you, Oregon. All right, but that was a super coincidence. I agree with Felix.
Yeah.
And then we got one more. Greetings, fellas. This is Omar. What happens first? Eberflus gets fired or Fields gets benched?
Boy, that's a Reggie question right there.
I know. Dang, they taking shots at us. Like, golly.
Yeah.
Traditionally, the Bears don't fire coaches, and it's unfortunate that there's a history of bad coaching where we know that there's something to measure this, where typically bad coaching doesn't get replaced mid-season. It's usually happening at the end of the season. So that's sort of the Bears way. But I think the franchise is at a point where not a rebuild, but an overhaul. And so we thought we had that with the new GM, new president of operations in Warren, GM with polls. He hired Eberflus. We held on to Fields versus potentially trading him and using that first round pick on a quarterback. A lot of that will still have to be played out. But to answer the question, Eberflus should get fired by week 6. And I say week 6 because we're going to Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're winless, if we're 0-5 going into week 6, my bold prediction is that that Eberflus is fired by then. Okay, so
what does that do to Justin Fields, though? You know,
if they fire the head coach, we've seen it where a new coach comes in and not only one player, a quarterback, but the defense becomes inspired.
Mm-hmm.
The offense all of a sudden wakes up.
Yeah.
You know, it's a different message. So that might be the move right there. That might be what this team needs, because right now the Bears are on a 13-game losing streak from last season.
My goodness.
So right, that's bad. That's bad. So by the time week 6 hits, we're looking at potentially being on a 16-game losing streak.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't care how we slice it, starting from last season going to this season, that's 16 games of players from last year to now who have not seen a W.
Yeah. And
that's embarrassing. And that's bad for fan morale. That's bad for player morale. And, you know, so I think the right thing to do is to fire Eberflus.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Fields, he's not off the hook. He's in a bad situation, but our number one quarterback, our number one pick, should be able to rise above a lot of the hand that he's being dealt.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't see it.
Yeah.
And so maybe week 8, week 9, week 10, he may get pulled if we're not seeing any kind of non-robotic progress from him. So, so that's my take. You know, hopefully Eberflus gets fired before that happens.
Yeah.
So I hear you have a surprise. I'm just gonna sit back and embrace myself.
Well, not so much a surprise. I just think that if you recall, if you go back to last week's episode, at the beginning, I did a little homage to Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. You know, beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for neighbors, etc. And I started thinking that, you know, because I do have some musical, some singing chops, so to speak, that if maybe, you know, like at this point in the show going forward on a weekly basis, maybe I should exhibit some of that singing prowess. And because, you know, I've been told that my singing brings about all kinds of emotions in people.
Pain.
That's kind of, you know, that's a little bit.
I'm sorry.
It's a little too much. But
no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's just a little bit cold. But you know, I just kind of feel like maybe it would it kind of accelerate our popularity, like really quickly. You know, if I was to sing a little bit every week, because it's kind of like when you've got certain talents and abilities, skills, or whatever, then maybe you ought to show them off. But you know, we'll kind of listen to what our viewers want. If they want to see that, if they want to hear that, then we can talk about it. So that was just sort of an idea to really make things take off. I just really thought that me singing every week could take us like a rocket ship way up there.
Hey, gravity be damned. I'm ready to take off. And you know what? Comment, folks, if you want to hear Roger belt a tune, get his Frankie Sinatra on.
No.
If y'all want to hear that,
no.
Hey, let it be known in the comments. I'm a little indifferent about it because I've heard him sing, but he can carry a tune.
It has to be within my range, though. You know, I can only deal within certain octaves, they call them. Right.
So are you certain like ranges. Barry White-ish?
No, a little bit higher up from Barry.
Okay. You're like Neil Diamond.
I would say more of a Lionel Richie.
Lionel. Hey. Okay.
Just
Okay.
saying.
Hello.
Just saying.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
Hello.
Just wanted to let you know. Yeah. Hello.
No, but that's awesome. That's awesome. All right.
Yeah.
So if y'all want to hear Raj get his Lionel Richie on, hit us up in the comments. Let us know. He will get his Commodore going.
But just not a cappella. I need to have a little bit of, if I'm doing a little bit of Lionel, a little bit of Commodores, whatever, like I need a little bit of background, a little bit of accompaniment to go there. I'm good at karaoke. Doing karaoke, not that far long ago. People were applauding when I finished.
Right. No, they were applauding because they were like, man, that was awesome. Not like the credits rolling, like, thank you, this is finally over, but more so, bravo. Right?
Yeah. Thanks, my friend. But now I gotta reconsider all that. I came home thinking that, that I just hit it out of the park, but maybe not. So
no. You got it, man. No,
yeah.
But seriously, for real, jump in those comments. Let us know if you want to hear this gentleman belt a few tunes. But seriously, he can blow, as the young kids say. Preview a few of the upcoming guests. Chris Oliver, our friend from Hollywood Casino.
Yeah.
He will be back. Okay, so he was a big hit in episode 1. We're going to probably have him on a monthly basis.
So good.
So expect him at least 4 times this year. Great input. Fans loved it. So look for him. So we're going to have Priscilla coming through as well. That's a surprise, but she's going to provide some excellent content. And I'm looking forward to that. And that's probably going to be in about 2 to 3 weeks. Or so.
Yeah. Probably first part of October, first half of October. And one thing I might have mentioned to you last night is I'm working on and I feel pretty good about it right now, that we'll be bringing on an former NFL player, 6 years in the NFL with 3 different NFL teams.
Let's not say who.
We're not going to say who, but working on that right now, and feel really, really good about those chances. Yeah.
Moving the needle. That's what they call moving the needle.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think he'll love to do it.
Raj, you want to go first, or you want me to go first? I can go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
So without further ado, we were talking about the Jags earlier. I think they're fool's gold. However, I'm taking the Jags -3 against the Falcons. They're in their home, away from home, Duval County East, if you will. They're out in London. They should be able to salvage a shaky start to the season, in spite being 4-5 from what I read, their record in London. So they're below 500, but I do think that they're good enough to beat the Falcons, who I think are equally as not bad, but not as good. And so give me the Jags and lay the 3.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit the over-under again. You kind of frowned a little when you heard this, Dolphins and Bills. I'm going Dolphins Bills over 53.5. That is a pretty large number, and I'm not so mystified by the fact that they put up 70 points last week and they went over on their own, but the fact that they have speed kills. And I know that that Josh Allen has a propensity to not only turn the ball over, but to score points as well. So I really see that as an easy over. So give me the Bills and Dolphins over the 53.5. And finally, Texans +3 to win outright versus the Steelers. I like what I see out of the Texans defense. I think DeMeco Ryans has them playing with some great confidence.
Yeah.
Trying to get them to some semblance of what he had in San Fran. CJ Stroud is looking good and maybe on his way to shed the Buckeye stigma.
A little early.
Yeah, but I think he's on his way. to shed that kind of just nasty stigma of Ohio State quarterbacks, the Ohio State quarterbacks, play like garbage in the NFL. There's more evidence of the bad than there is the good. So there's a laundry list of Terrell Pryor, Craig Krenzel, Justin Fields.
Craig Krenzel. Wow.
Yeah, that's a little throwback. But give me the Texans +3.
Okay.
Those are my picks. Make money, get money, win money, get that damn W.
Yeah. We're gonna, again, just to reiterate, Reg and I last week were against the spread now. For all you maybe novice bettors out there that think that betting is about picking winners of games, yeah, you can do okay doing that, but this is about picking winners against the spread. So this is kind of a big boys game here when you're picking winners against the spread. And I can tell you that if you go 4 out of 6 like we did last week, if we do that on a regular basis or get a little bit better, a lot of big time gamblers on NFL football, out in Vegas or where, they'd love to be 66% for the year. Because they would turn their big money into really nice profit with that. So I'll go ahead with my picks. And here's the funny thing: when I looked at the lines this morning, there was a mistake on CBS Sports Line, and I told Reggie this. I was like, oh God, I've already got my top pick, because they had the Chiefs like a 0.5 point favorite over the Jets. Even though it's at New York, and I was like, I got this.
Come on now, you knew that there, you knew there was something wrong with that.
Honest to God, if you go back and look at CBS Sportsline from like 11 hours ago, you'll see that on there, which was a misprint. But Reggie, Reggie brought me back to reality and said, Roger, it's Chiefs by 9.5. So, given that reality, I still like the Chiefs to cover 9.5 at the Jets, because the Jets are, I hate to say it like the Bears, they're not quite in as bad a disarray as the Bears right now, but they're in tremendous disarray, and they have really no quarterback. And then they brought in Trevor Siemian, of all people, to bring in as insurance. So I like KC. I think they're starting to roll. And I think that they should win that game by more than 10 points. I'll be a little bit shocked if they don't. I'm staying on the road. I'm staying on the road teams. I think the Rams at 1 and 2 are, could just as easily be 2 and 1, and not that bad a shape. And with them going to the Colts, and basically that's an even game, the Rams are getting 1 at Indianapolis. Do we know if Anthony Richardson is coming back to play? Or
I know as of earlier today, he was still in concussion protocol. Yeah. So the plan now is for Minshew to start, but that could change over the next few days.
And being in a concussion protocol or not that far removed from a concussion, having Aaron Donald chasing you down isn't really kind of, something you would dream about.
I agree.
So I like the Rams there. I really do. I think quarterback edge. I think Stafford is getting a little bit kicked to the curb and sort of pushed toward the graveyard a little bit sooner than should be. He's a great competitor, and I think they'll find a way to win that game. My third pick is Cincinnati to continue to improve, only because Joe Burrow is going to get more healthy as the weeks go by. I've heard, I heard a couple of different sources say, yeah, he looked like he was about 70% last week, and which sounded about right, because I saw some of that game, and they won the game, and he was at 70%. So if he improves to 80% this week, or even better, with the weapons they've got, that's a team, as I said earlier tonight, that I expect to still be a factor to make the playoffs. They got great playmakers, and Joe Burrow's got a hell of a lot of pride. We were talking about pride earlier. That guy is the real thing when it comes to pride. So they're getting 1.5 at Tennessee, and I think the quarterback there edge there, and the fact that Tennessee really can't score very much, it just gives this one to me to Cincinnati, and I think that overall, the AFC North is a much stronger group of teams than the AFC South. So
Okay.
those are my three.
Okay. And as a quick recap, I want to just run these off real fast. I have the Jags -3 against the Falcons. I have the Dolphins Bills over 53.5. And then I have the Texans +3 over the Steelers. Give me yours real quick.
I have Kansas City -9.5 at the Jets. I have the Rams +1 at the Colts. And I have Cincinnati +1.5 at Tennessee. Those are my three picks.
Give me a 10-second response to Joe Namath calling for Zach Wilson's exile out of the NFL.
100% behind it. 100% behind it. I just don't think that. I don't think exit from the NFL, exit from the Jets maybe, but Zach Wilson is a backup quarterback. He's, I just don't see him as anything more. Joe Namath is, love Joe, and I wasn't born when he was playing, but just kidding. But he was a great player. If you didn't have a chance to see him play in those days, go back and look at some film. Broadway Joe, he had the fancy face mask before any other quarterback did.
And he had the fur coat.
He also had the quick release.
And the quick release.
Where he could throw it 40 yards on a dime.
That was a long 10 seconds.
I know.
That was a long 10 seconds. Go ahead.
And one last thing that we failed to mention is the budding relationship between Travis Kelce and
you beat me to it.
Swiftie.
That was next. I wanted a 10-second reaction on that. What do you think, Taylor Swift?
I think it's a beautiful thing.
Can you name one Taylor Swift song?
No.
That's a shame.
No.
That's quite the shame. What you need to do, Raj, is you need to shake it off. You need to shake it off, start over, and come back next week with at least, maybe you could sing a Taylor Swift song.
No. I knew you were going there. I knew you were going to go there. No.
Okay. All right.
No,
so
I'm not singing any Taylor Swift songs. I don't even know what they are.
Okay. All right. So thank you, everyone. It's been another awesome episode of Don't Ask Me Why podcast. Look, we make some questionable but brilliant, picks and suggestions and
getting better
and topics and getting better, hitting 66%. But if you don't quite understand, then what's up, Raj?
I don't know. Just don't ask me why.
Don't ask me why. Please don't ask me why.
Yeah, we are who we are.
Leave a comment, belly aching there. We'll talk to y'all next week. Peace.
See you next week.